I heard a very wonderful explanation of both qualitative, quantitative, and also the trading relations approach. So any questions? I think that's a marvelous opportunity for PhD researchers. Any questions you want to learn from the panel?
If you want to use mixed method, I'm trying to tie between what Antonio said earlier and what you said afterwards. How would you reconcile with your ontology assumption?
Addressed to me?
Both.
Both?
Okay.
Okay.
I think if you were using qualitative and you got results distinctly different than your quantitative, you'd have to address it as you'd have to simply point out the two differences. Maybe you answer, if you're looking at answering a particular research question, you'd have to answer the research question in the A case and the B case, and then I think in your results or conclusion chapter, offer some opinion and some analysis about why you got those different results. That'd be my quick answer to that question.
Yes, I agree with Dennis, but I would like to add something. If you are taking a qualitative approach, if you are an interpretivist and you got some findings, you cannot kill yourself saying, okay, now I'm going to test. Well, your findings should be good enough to stand by themselves. There is nothing else that you need to test. Test in a quantitative sense, I mean. That's my...
I would actually say you don't have to absolutely stick to one paradigm. I consider myself to be a post-positivist. I was brought up in the positivist tradition, but I also was taught some qualitative things as well. And I use both. It depends on the type of question I'm asking. And as I mentioned when I pointed out some of those really hardcore positivist things about objectivity and politically neutral, people have come to realize that's just not possible. I mean, you are, even if you're a positivist, you know you're interpreting some way. So I think you don't lock yourself into one and say, I'm never doing anything else. I mean, you kind of go one, and every study is different as well. If I had more time, there's a little questionnaire I have where you go through and you answer some questions and then add up the scores, and it tells you which paradigm you fall under, but you can actually do that for any study that you're doing. I mean, so I wouldn't limit myself, to one.
Let me add another comment. First of all, stating the absolute obvious truth. You don't add on a quantitative at the end of a qualitative study just because you need a little more. These,
Right.
You decide at the beginning your approach, and you build it in from the beginning in order to be successful. Let me also add in something that may be a bit controversial. If you go out and collect a lot of qualitative great results, and then the quantitative results come in and a little mix, low participation, and so on, do you really need to include the quantitative? Can't you just make it a qualitative study in the write-up? That may be the approach. You wouldn't find that written in any of your research methods textbook, but I think all of us supervisors know of cases where we go back and we rewrite a research question in order to accommodate a little bit more of our results. These are the sorts of things that happen in research.
But you can have a situation where your research questions, one research question is could be dealt with qualitatively, and then the next research question deals with it quantitatively. And one of my students did looking at dimensions of motivations, used the red grid qualitatively, found the dimensions in the items from the qualitative, took it to a survey, second phase. So they were separate research questions.
Yeah.
Mixed methods. But.
Well, I think this is a very real opportunity because I know all the professors, all the academics here are very have a much experience in particular research methodology, and I know some of them teach research methodology. So, any questions? I think
Building up forward with the quantitative and qualitative, in a sense that once we completed our analysis, thesis, we have written it up, and it is more quantitative based. but when identifying the examiner, is it a good idea to identify the examiner who are more inclined towards quantitative as well?
Yeah, you would want to make sure that the examiner had experience in the topic as well as the method. I mean, certainly I wouldn't want someone who didn't like quantitative at all, who was completely interpretivist, to be my examiner for a qualitative paper unless I misunderstood the question.
No,
Yeah.
it's not your choice, of course, examiner. That's where you need a politically astute supervisor.
Right.
Who knows who to send the dissertation to give you the best chance for getting a fair and honest examination.
And I was speaking if I was the supervisor.
Yeah,
if you gave it to me,
was,
now I have to pick your examiners. I'm going to pick judiciously someone that hopefully isn't going to just beat you up because they don't like your paradigm. I mean, same when you're picking reviewers, you know, and editors. Michael made a very good point. You can go out to the websites and see who the current reviewers and editors are, and they list their expertise, and then you can go look up their websites and find out what they've published and what they've done to find somebody who will appreciate your work. They still may criticize you really badly, but at least they have the knowledge base to do it appropriately.
Give you a fair comment, I think. Yeah.
Right. It might be harsh, but they'll be you know, appropriate.
Any more questions?
If I select to follow the mixed method, should I follow any order, like first conduct a survey and ask them to participate in a further interview, or can I first interview the major players and get a good idea, and then with that ideas develop the question for majority?
Mostly depends on the nature of your research and your research questions. As I went through, the only one there was the concurrent triangular strategy in which both of them were retreated equal. In the other ones, one method always dominated. There was still a significant part of the second method, but your research questions and your approach will determine which one you do first and which one is dominant. And there was, in three of the strategies, there is a dominant strategy that's involved.
Any more questions?
And there's also, oh sorry, there's a really nice, going back to the idea of mixed methods or thinking, or being able to have more than one paradigm. There's a really nice paper by Hanfield, I can't remember the other, if people want it, I think I just sent it to my student, where they go through what they call the theory building process, and they did it in the case of a total quality management from an OR perspective, so it's a little bit mathematical, their example. But they have this really nice diagram, and they go through and explain how you go through the cycles of using both of them in order to build and then test theory. I mean, if you want to go that route and do both. Some interpretivists won't do that, and some positivists refuse to accept the fact that their theory actually came from somewhere in their mind. So.
Well, because of time, we'd like to conclude, and we really appreciate the panel that today who contribute to, and share with us about quantitative. I think that, some of the students, you may think that PhD is just like throwing a dart to a target, and once you reach the bar, and then you get a PhD. No, it's more than that. Well, the reason we have this panel, and the reason we have a keynote to talk about the whole package is because doing a PhD it's not only reach the end, it's that you have to show the process and justify the process to the examiners and to the audience. So it's not like throwing, you have to explain why you throw that way, why that angle, and with justifications. And I hope that today's sessions that, give you some implications. And in order to express, our gratitude, we have 3 bottles to share with them as well. Well, as far as I know, they are all different. So, well, if you want to trade with each other, well, if you want to trade with me, with my wine in house, then probably only open the
Red versus white, right? It's quantitative versus qualitative. Is there rosé?
What we got? What? Oh, well, you know, I like.
Now I pass the time back to Bob.
Sauvignon Blanc, that's me. Thank you.
Bob heard me talking yesterday.
Tell me whether they meet the grades or not. I just, a couple of a minute or so just to wrap up. Thank you for attending. It's been a really good day for us and for those, Devashish and the rest of his team that have put, and Nick and William as well, that have put a lot of work into bringing it together. Can I suggest one thing? You interacted, most of you in your sessions or in your posters, with other staff and with other students. Don't just go away and let those connections drop. If you're a student from Massey and you've met somebody interesting from Victoria, bring them up and go visit Victoria for a few days. Give a seminar. Part of what I did today was talk to people like Nick, who I haven't seen for a few years, and we're going to invite him down to Waikato to give a seminar. So use those connections and don't be afraid to get on the phone or the email and start doing some connections. Have a little mini conference where 4 or 5 Massey people go over to AUT for half a day, and you each give 20-minute sessions or whatever. I'll leave that to you to do, but don't just go away from this session and let it all fade away. PhD is a really lonely exercise for many people, and if you're dealing with a bad supervisor, I shouldn't say bad supervisor, but a lot of us are difficult to get along with. You can speak to that, can't you, Devashish? Get yourself outside the boundaries of just the supervisors and the students that are in your school, and reach out and try and make use of these links. There's lots of really good people here. Try and extend that conversation past today and into the next few years. The doctoral consortium will be in Auckland next year. Michael's still here?
Yeah.
Michael Myers will be organizing that, so you'll hear about that in due course. We'd welcome you to come back. If you found the advice this year of value, we certainly would invite you to present again. Take care, Harry Raw, in Maori terms. Safe journey home. If anybody wants some directions